Another limitation that the VLOOKUP has is that where multiple instances of a lookup value exists, it will take the first occurrence in your table array. So where there are duplicates of your lookup value, it will only return one. It'll return the first value. So it'll look down the table array, and the first time it comes across your lookup value, that's the value it'll return. But what happens if you have a table array with multiple instances of your lookup value, but the value you want returned is the last one? It's the last value of that. Well, one of the ways we can get around that is by using the lookup function in a certain way. The lookup function is quite a dated formula, but in order to deal with duplicate values of your lookup value, it has some benefits. So the lookup function performs an approximate match lookup in one column or one row range and returns the corresponding value from another one column or one row range. Although it is a dated formula, it can be used for a last to first match. One thing that's important to know is that when the lookup value is greater than all the values in the lookup vector, the lookup matches the last value. So that's very important for this type of lookup. So let's look at the parameters. The parameters used, first of all, is the lookup value. In this type of lookup, the lookup value will always equal 2. It will always equal the number 2. And the second value is the lookup vector. So this is the array of data we look up. But again, we're manipulating this formula to deal with duplicate values. So in this lookup, what we will do is it'll be equal to 1 divided by, and then you open up a bracket and you select the lookup array, which will equal the lookup value. And then you close that bracket. And then you're into your result vector, which is the value you want returned. So let's look at how to use this. So here we have a series of names and we want the latest salary returned. Anything that's highlighted in pink means that the name is here twice and includes the 2020 and 2021 salary. But we want the latest salary, so for the names that are duplicated, we want the 2021 salary. So we open up our lookup function. And our lookup value is always going to be 2. In this type of lookup, the lookup value will always equal 2. Our lookup vector in this stage, in this instance, equals 1 divided by the lookup array equal to lookup value. So what that looks like, 1 divided by, then you open up a bracket. And here you're selecting all of the lookup arrays, which is the names here. We're going to be dragging this down later, so we have to lock it by pressing F4. Get the dollar symbols. And here we're saying equals the lookup value. And the lookup value in this sense is the data in B12, which is Anya Barnwell. Then we have to close this, we have to close that bracket, and then that completes the second parameter, which is the lookup vector. And then we're into the result vector, and this is the value we want returned. So this is just simply the salary. So we just select all the data here in the salary. And then that's F4 to lock that for dragging down later. And then that equals 75,000. So we see here Anya Barnwell is here twice. We wanted to make sure our latest salary, so it was important that it returned 75,000, not 65,000. And we can drag that down and it returns the value. So it's quite a convoluted formula. There's a lot kind of going on in the background. If we go on to the evaluate formula, what this does here is it initially divides all of the names. It does a search to how many instances, how many times say Anya Barnwell is found, and then it'll return these true and false. So false, 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 true. It's true on the fourth one because that's where Anya Barnwell is found, and it's true again here. You get this true sign for when Anya Barnwell is found, and so wherever it gets a true value, it'll return a 1, and wherever it gets a false value, it'll return a 0. So that's when it does that, you get here a series. Your lookup vector is a series of either divided by 0 errors or 1. So that's then essentially your lookup array is either all these error messages or the ones which matches the true. And what that means is it'll divide it'll look up for the value of 2 in this lookup vector, and what it will find is it will find the closest value, which is 1, but it will take the last value that is closest, which is the second time Anya Barnwell was found. So it's this one here, and then that's why it gives you that 75,000. So it's quite a convoluted formula. You don't really need to know what's going on in the background in that evaluate formula part, but it is a good workaround if you have duplicate values of your lookup value. The XLOOKUP also has a function for doing this, but the XLOOKUP is only available if you are using a newer version of Excel. So if you're using the Office 365 version of Excel.